For generations, the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah stood as beacons of prosperity, their riches flowing from the fertile plains of the Jordan Valley. Yet beneath their wealth and splendor lay a darkness that consumed their people, a descent into corruption so deep that justice, kindness, and righteousness had all but vanished. Their sins rose like smoke to the heavens, provoking the wrath of the Almighty. This is the tale of a city beyond redemption, a faithful man's desperate plea for mercy, and a divine judgment that would forever echo through history. The sun hung low over the valley of Siddim, casting long shadows over the twin cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. Lush fields and flowing rivers concealed the moral decay within their towering walls. The cries of the oppressed mingled with the laughter of the wicked, for within these cities, justice was a forgotten word. Violence filled the streets and depravity was celebrated. The poor were neglected, strangers were mistreated, and the people reveled in their own indulgences without thought of consequence. The wickedness of these cities was known throughout the land. The people no longer feared God, nor did they seek justice or kindness. The strong oppressed the weak, merchants were dishonest, and the rulers had forsaken wisdom for their own pleasure. They lived as if there was no God, and their hearts were hardened beyond redemption. But the cries of the victims, the innocent who suffered in silence, had reached the heaven, and the Almighty, the righteous judge, prepared to act. Abraham's plea for mercy. Abraham, a faithful servant of the Almighty, stood atop a hill, his eyes scanning the distant horizon where the cities gleamed under the setting sun. He had heard whispers of their corruption, and his heart grew heavy with sorrow. Then, 3 heavenly visitors approached his tent, messengers from the Most High. With reverence, Abraham welcomed them, washing their feet and offering them food. As they sat beneath the shade of the great oak trees at Mamre, they revealed their divine mission. One of the visitors, radiant as the dawn, turned to Abraham. "Shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? The cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and their sin is exceedingly grievous. I will go down and see if what they have done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know." Abraham trembled at these words. His nephew, Lot, lived in Sodom with his family. Fear gripped his heart, for he knew the wickedness of the city. Gathering his courage, he stepped forward in a bold plea. "My Lord, will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? If there are 50 righteous within the city, will you spare it?" The Lord in his mercy agreed, but as Abraham continued to bargain, lowering the number from 50 to 45, then to 30, then 20, and finally 10, the truth became clear. Righteousness was all but extinct in those doomed cities. If even 10 righteous people could be found, they would be spared. But there were none. As twilight descended, 2 of the divine messengers entered Sodom, appearing as weary travelers. Lot, Abraham's nephew, sat at the city gate, a place where elders and judges often gathered. Though he had lived among them for years, his heart remained troubled by the rampant sin of Sodom. Recognizing the stranger's nobility, he rose and bowed deeply. "My lords, please come to my home. The night is dangerous and you will be safer under my roof," Lot urged. At first, the strangers refused. "No, we will spend the night in the square." Lot knew what awaited them if they stayed outside. He pleaded urgently until they relented. Bringing them into his house, he prepared a feast, baking unleavened bread and setting the table before them. But before they could rest, a terrible clamor arose outside. The men of Sodom, young and old, surrounded Lot's house, their torches casting eerie shadows. Their voices rang out in an unholy demand. "Bring out the men who came to you tonight. We wish to know them." Lot's heart pounded. He stepped outside, shutting the door behind him. "I beg you, my brothers, do not act so wickedly." In desperation, he even offered his own daughters, but the mob was unrelenting. "Stand aside, Lot," they shouted. "Who are you to judge us? We will treat you worse than them." As they surged forward to break down the door, the angels reached out, pulling Lot inside. They struck the men at the door with blindness so that they groped in confusion, unable to find their way. The angels turned to Lot. "Gather your family and flee. The outcry against this city has reached the Lord, and destruction is imminent. Do not look back and do not linger." Lot rushed to his sons-in-law, pleading with them to escape, but they laughed, believing it a jest. Grief-stricken, Lot returned to his house. The angels, seeing his hesitation, took him, his wife, and his daughters by the hand, leading them beyond the city walls. "Hurry, flee to the mountains, or you will be swept away." Lot, fearing the rugged wilderness, pleaded, "Please, my lords, there is a small town nearby, Zoar. Let us flee there instead." The angels granted his request. "Very well, but hurry. We can do nothing until you are safe." As dawn broke, fire and brimstone rained from the heavens. The ground shook, and flames consumed Sodom and Gomorrah, their walls collapsing, their laughter turned to screams. Smoke billowed into the sky like a funeral shroud, blotting out the sun. But as they fled, Lot's wife hesitated. Overcome by longing, she turned back to gaze upon the home she had left behind. In that instant, she was turned into a pillar of salt, frozen in time as a stark reminder of disobedience and regret. Lot and his daughters, horror-stricken, pressed on without looking back. From a distant peak, they watched the inferno consume all they had known. Tears streamed down their faces as they bore witness to the wrath of God and the price of wickedness. The aftermath and Lot's fate. Now alone, Lot and his daughters took refuge in the mountains, living in a cave near Zoar. In despair, his daughters, believing that no man remained on earth to continue their lineage, made a fateful decision. They caused their father to drink wine and lay with him, each bearing a son. The eldest bore Moab, father of the Moabites, and the younger bore Ben-Ami, father of the Ammonites, nations that would play significant roles in Israel's history. Thus, Lot's lineage continued, but his life remained shadowed by sorrow. His wife was lost, his home destroyed, and his legacy forever tied to the judgment of Sodom and Gomorrah. The lesson of Sodom and Gomorrah? The once great cities were no more, their ashes scattered by the wind, but in their fall a lesson endured. Justice will not sleep forever, and righteousness, no matter how scarce, is precious in the eyes of the Lord. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah stands as a solemn warning against sin and corruption, a reminder that the patience of God is great, but not infinite. Yet, even in judgment, mercy shines through, for God spares the righteous and grants refuge to those who seek him. And so, Lot and his daughters journeyed on, carrying the weight of sorrow, but also the grace of divine mercy, into an uncertain future. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah stands as one of the most chilling and unforgettable events in history, a testament to divine justice against unrepentant wickedness. Once thriving cities filled with wealth and abundance, they crumbled beneath the weight of their own corruption, consumed by the fire and brimstone that rained from the heavens. The cries of the innocent had reached the Almighty, and though he is slow to anger and rich in mercy, his justice does not sleep forever. To this day, many believe that the ruins of Sodom and Gomorrah lie beneath or near the Dead Sea, a body of water so desolate and lifeless that it has been called a sea of death. Scientists and explorers have long marveled at the strange, otherworldly landscape surrounding it. Salt formations that resemble frozen waves, sulfur deposits embedded in the earth, and a water so dense with minerals that no fish or plant can survive within it. Some say that the sulfuric fire that fell from the sky altered the very nature of the land, making the region barren and inhospitable, a haunting reminder of the fate that befell the wicked cities. But the story of Sodom and Gomorrah is not just a tale of destruction, it is also a lesson in divine patience, justice, and mercy. The Lord was willing to spare the entire city for the sake of just 10 righteous people, showing that even in the midst of great sin, God seeks redemption rather than punishment. Yet, when no righteousness was found, judgment became inevitable. The tragedy of Lot's wife serves as a solemn warning against longing for a life of sin, while the fate of his daughters reveals the consequences of a world devoid of godly influence. The lesson of Sodom and Gomorrah endures throughout generations, warning against the dangers of turning away from righteousness and embracing moral decay. It reminds us that no nation, no city, and no people are beyond accountability. Sin left unchecked will always lead to destruction, but God, in His mercy, provides a way of escape for those who seek Him. The ruins of Sodom and Gomorrah may be lost to time, but their legacy remains. The Dead Sea, with its lifeless waters, stands as a silent witness to the past, a solemn monument to judgment, a landscape where life has withered, and a reminder that the choices humanity makes echo far beyond the present moment.